For some people, writing in Russian feels like a waste of time. But what if writing is a final, missing piece that will help you learn real, authentic Russian? There are only 3 simple steps you need to take to make writing in Russian a very valuable tool. Surprisingly, writing can improve your conversational Russian. Hi, I'm Dennis. Welcome to Learning to Know Russian. A lot of new, progressive methods for learning languages don't teach students how to write. It's trendy, it's fashionable now to get rid of writing exercises. The explanation you usually hear is that writing doesn't do anything to help you learn how to speak. The real reason, of course, that writing is unpopular. It's hard to force an adult student to write something. After bad experiences in language school, most students think that writing is the most boring, annoying exercise ever. It takes so much effort. The teacher usually takes a red pen and points out all of the mistakes you made, making you feel even worse. I've talked to some adult students at language schools. The main criteria for whether a teacher was good or bad and whether the classes were interesting or boring was the number of writing exercises. He would have us sit down and pass out papers with exercises. All we did today was write. It's so exhausting. They don't teach us how to talk there. All we do is write in our notebooks. Does writing really help us learn a language? Yes, it does. If you can't properly develop and express your thoughts in writing, you will never be completely literate. Everything is connected in a language. Just like learning to read properly, we need to learn how to write. Let's say you already have good pronunciation and you know a lot of words and phrases, but something's still not quite right when you talk. You just don't sound like a native speaker. That's where writing can help you. Improving our writing skills comes after listening and reading. First, we learn pronunciation and listening skills. Then we build our vocabulary by reading. After that, we learn to write. Remember this order: listening, reading, writing. Wait a second. What about speaking? Isn't that the most important part? Don't worry. Speaking doesn't come at the end, in the middle, or at the start. It's always with us. We develop our speaking skills on the every step. Back to writing. Writing helps us to organize what we know and all of the skills we've developed. When you write, it's like analyzing and carefully thinking about all the language constructions you already know. You don't need to be quick when you are writing. You don't need to worry about pronunciation. Why is that so many people hate writing and don't learn anything from it, if it's supposed to be so helpful? Unfortunately, there are a lot of bad, useless writing exercises. Exercises that ask you to insert a missing word or write an answer to each question. I think we all know what that looks like. A perfectly quiet classroom, while everyone sits at their desk and works. That type of lesson is more like a math test than anything else. Does this help you develop a skill? Yes, of course. You learn the skill to insert missing words. Does it give you any real language skills? No. On the other hand, that type of lessons is every teacher's dream lessons. They get to sit at their desk, relax, and answer questions, proving just how smart they are to their students. Writing an essay is another common writing exercise. Here is what it usually looks like. A boring and challenging first step. You are told to write a certain number of words on a certain topic. For instance, a complaint about customer service at a restaurant. You try your best, even if you think the topic is boring and you don't have anything to say. An embarrassing second step. The teacher grades your essay and gives it back to you with all of your corrected mistakes. After looking at all of those mistakes, you only feel worse about how bad you are at Russian grammar. Maybe there is no hope. I'm never going to learn this language. And there's no third step. What you wrote stays in your notebook or on your computer and you quickly forget about it. What do you get from the exercise? After working hard, you are convinced that your Russian is still far from perfect. That's it. Don't be depressed. There's a better way to write. There are only a few things that we need to do differently. First, we aren't going to give you a specific topic to write about. I don't want to write, for example, complaint about bad restaurant service. I haven't had a bad experience at a restaurant in a long time. When it happens, I'll write about it. And you shouldn't be given a certain amount of words to write. In the real world, nobody is going to tell an adult how many words to write or say about something. People write and say exactly what they want. Sometimes you need 50 words, sometimes you need 1000 words. That's why our first step is called free writing. You'll be writing an essay with no word count on a topic that you personally find interesting. For example, right now I'm getting ready for a trip to Russia and I want to book a hotel room. But there are a few questions I have about the room. That's going to be my topic. You do the same. Think of an interesting, practical topic. I made a whole bunch of mistakes in my letter, just like I do in real life, but that's not important. The difference between a native speaker and a student is how natural they sound. When native speakers want to say something, they don't create a new language construction from individual words. They think of a frequently used expression and use that. Most of the time, someone learning a language doesn't know enough of these standard expressions. As a result, they invent their own expression, which always sounds strange to a native speaker. That's why we need a second step. We are not going to correct our mistakes. We are going to rewrite the essay so that it uses natural Russian phrases and expressions. Of course, it's okay to fix our grammatical mistakes too, but that's not our main goal. Everyone makes mistakes anyway. So rewriting the text is our second step. Here's what I get. We don't need a long text, even a paragraph or two is fine. Why do we need this chunk of text? We are going to use it to remember the phrases and language constructions a Russian native speaker would use. We want to learn how to express our thoughts in authentic, real Russian. How do we do this? First, take this chunk of text and read it. Then try to read it out loud. Next, put it somewhere visible in your room so that you read it again several times. Check it out. Those are your thoughts in normal, clean Russian. It's not some boring essay with lots of mistakes, but a great example of written Russian for you to be proud of. I'm going to post my little essay somewhere too. I plan to look at it several times over the next few weeks. Here's a schedule I might use. I check it out 2-3 hours after writing it for the first time, then once the next day, then in 2-3 days, a week later, maybe even several weeks later. Guess what? The actual process of writing isn't even the most important part of the writing exercise. The most important thing is that you absorb your thoughts in natural, authentic Russian. If you don't take that step, then the exercise will be almost a complete waste of your time. So what have we learned today? First, avoid artificial writing assignments like insert the missing words. Writing is a natural skill. Second, if you think that it's too early for you to write in Russian, that's totally fine. Writing naturally comes after listening and reading. It never comes first. Next, remember that you need a rewrite of your thoughts in natural Russian. It doesn't really help to just correct your grammatical mistakes. And finally, rewrite of your text in natural Russian is better than any textbook for learning Russian. You need to read it over and over again. Read it to yourself, read it out loud. It will help you to become a better speaker and better writer. Here's a little assignment. If your level of Russian allows it, try to write something today about a topic that you find interesting. It doesn't matter how basic your writing is, and don't worry about grammar mistakes. Get someone to rewrite what you wrote in natural Russian. It's not hard at all. You don't need a teacher, you just need a literate native Russian speaker. Try to get a rewritten version to stick in your head. Review it many times. I hope that this assignment will convince you that writing in Russian is enjoyable and useful exercise at the same time. Until next time, thank you for joining us.